And here we go. All right, everyone, welcome to week 2 of Nutrition Simplified. Happy you're here. Again, my name's Jenny Turner. I'm super glad you're able to join us live. If you missed last week's presentation, totally okay. I put it in the chat. It's also on our Slack page. You can find it there. So I posted the recording and the slide deck, and I'll be doing the same today after class. So just a reminder to try to keep your cameras off and stay on mute until the end of the presentation. I'm going to be opening it up for questions at the end, so feel free to use that chat function throughout. So as always, this information is intended for educational purposes only and should not be interpreted as medical advice. But for our agenda today, we're going to be checking in to start us off and seeing how last week went for you. And then we're going to begin our discussion on grocery shopping. There is a lot we're going to cover regarding shopping, like the psychology behind it, how you can create a really good grocery list. And we're going to also talk about reading nutrition labels, which is a very important aspect of going grocery shopping. So lots to cover today. Last week, we talked all about meal planning, and I had you pick an action item at the end of class that you were going to commit to. So I would love to check in on that and see how that went for you. You can put it in the chat. Let us know, did you try a new recipe? If you did and your family ended up loving it, please share. I want you to think about how the last week went for you and check in on what is the most important thing for you to achieve right now in terms of meal planning. And I'm actually going to launch a poll. So hang tight for me. It's loading. So check in how the past week went and then answer this question for me. What is the most important thing for you to achieve right now in terms of meal planning? Making meals that allow for leftovers to reheat quickly, so maybe you're on the go. Eat more well-rounded meals. We talked a lot about that last week, so including all of the food groups. Trying new recipes to freshen up the menu. We also chatted about that. And then maybe it's important for you right now to measure out your ingredients and kind of watch your portions. I know that's a tough one for me. So pick which one is the most important thing for you right now. Perfect. Eating more well-rounded meals. I love it. Making sure we get all of those colors in. Getting those carbs, proteins, healthy fats. Awesome. A couple of you mentioning those new recipes. Again, if y'all tried a new recipe last week, please let us know how it went. Even if it didn't go so well, let us know. All right, we are going to focus on those things that you just mentioned, but in terms of grocery shopping. So keep in mind what you just said was most important to you. And now we're going to get started with creating a list. So let's start off with diving into shopping. So the very beginning steps of grocery shopping include making a list of the foods that you need. So it's super important to take a moment and kind of assess what you can commit to right now. And it's helpful to ask yourself some of these questions you can see right here on the slide. So what days of the week could you take some time to plan out your menu? Which meals give you the greatest challenge? Maybe it's dinner, maybe it's breakfast. And how many meals are you going to plan for? And then once you answer those questions, you'll need to decide how you want to track your menu. So maybe you use an app on your phone. I like to use the Notes app, and you can actually share your Notes app with people. So I like to share it with my husband, and so we can both add to that grocery list throughout the weeks. You could use your Outlook calendar, maybe a whiteboard in your house. I like to throw one on the refrigerator, and then I can just add as I look in there, and I can close it and I can add things. Or maybe you're old school and you like a pen and paper. That works too. So I also utilize my, I don't want to say it super loud, Alexa device. She might hear me. But if you have one of those, you can keep a running grocery list and you can add to it whenever you think of something. But make a list of the ingredients that are a part of your normal rotation. So first, we want to take inventory of what you already have. So write down everything that's in your pantry and your fridge, and then just keep a running list. So there are tons of helpful apps and websites that you can use to kind of keep track of the things you need and the things you already have. So there's Supercook, Chefling, Kitchen Pal, Yummingly, tons of different apps you can just search on your phone, and a ton will pop up. And while you're meal planning, write down those ingredients you need. Then you shop your pantry, your refrigerator, and your freezer, and then just scratch those items off that you already have. If y'all have some good recommendations for apps and stuff, yeah, dang it, I'm sorry. Alexa heard me. My bad. I was trying to be quiet. Scratch off those items you already have. But send those apps in the chat that you like to use, or maybe it's just your notes app, whatever it is, let us know. But when you're creating your shopping list, create a list of favorites. So brainstorm those new types of meals you'd like to try. Check out the cookbook, social media sites, recipes from friends and family, cooking magazines. We talked a lot about that last week. So find different resources. Remember to always take your schedule into consideration because your list should be doable. That way you aren't wasting or buying more food than you plan to cook. So remember last week we talked a lot about planning. So plan for those busy weeks. And then again, utilize apps that allow you to make those lists. And some apps actually may link to your grocery store app, which is super helpful. So be on the lookout for those. So now that you've made a list and you've checked all your inventory, you're ready to go shop. So a good thing to do is to make sure you aren't hungry when you go to the store. So have a healthy snack before you go to resist any of the temptation while you're shopping. Remember last week, we talked a lot about healthy snack options. So if you need a refresher on those slides, you can go review those. But try and stick to your list as much as possible. Now, try and pick up your meat, your dairy, your eggs, and your frozen foods last when possible so that they don't go bad, especially in the summer in Houston, Texas. Make sure that you look up and down on the shelves and try to go generic. So the more expensive foods and brands are normally stocked at eye level because that's just where your eyes naturally gravitate to. So get your neck workout in. Look up, look down, and really search for those better priced options. And you can always enjoy your local farmers market as well. That's a great way to get in some fresh ingredients, and you'll see what's in season too. So that's a fun way to do that. While you're grocery shopping, we had this slide last week, but remember to try and shop the parameter. It has all of the fresh foods that you may need, and try to avoid going down the aisles unless you need to. I know rice, pasta, all of those things are in the aisles, and those are fine, but there's a lot of processed foods you're going to find in those aisles. So just try to stay in the parameter of the outside of the store as much as possible, and follow the 80-20 rule like we mentioned last week. So try to stick to your list as much as possible. All right, so here is some interesting psychology behind shopping. So shoppers are interested in reading nutrition labels, looking for local products, willing to buy more for organic products, and are comfortable buying store brands. 3 out of 4 shoppers make at least some buying decisions in the store. So most people get distracted from their list and have at least some impulse purchases. If that's you, you know who you are. And consumers leave room for unplanned purchases in their mental budgets, which is actually really interesting. So just a little psychology for you on shopping. So we're going to walk through some marketing tactics. So let's start off with location. So the location of the products play a huge role in the way that the consumers shop for them. So the ends of the aisles are reported to be among the most profitable sections to place products. So often manufacturers will actually pay an additional premium to have those products placed there because a lot of studies show that customers are often interested in what they find at the end of those aisles. So that's just important to know. Color, although it might not seem like it would have a large effect, the color of the products can make a huge difference as well. So colors can have a symbolic significance in the products, which will affect the decision-making process. So consumers will frequently be on the lookout for brighter colored products, while many colors have individual themes that lend advantages to the products themselves. So colors like purple, black, and gold can all convey certain themes and messages that encourage consumers to shop and browse. So colors like red, they grab your attention. It's exciting, it's inviting. While purple is kind of wealthy, it means quality, royalty. And then blue releases a trust hormone, actually, and it encourages a sense of responsibility, which is interesting. And then brown conveys a passive, more relaxed state. And then gold mimics the colors of fats and it can actually evoke feelings of hunger, which is really interesting. And it also suggests a high quality and luxury aspect as well. And then black is more elegant, sophisticated. Then white is actually low calorie, more pure. And then you've got yellow. It's energy, it's happiness. I mean, you think of the sun, it's bright, it's happy feeling. So colors, very interesting. Labels, nutrition labels play a significant part in the purchasing process as well. So customers will often try to make the healthier choice, and these nutrition labels can be a great way to market a product. So if the product is particularly healthy, it can bank on that quality or for more purchases. So buzzwords as well. There are many words that marketers use to sell products. Words like organic, fat-free make a huge difference in the purchase, especially if it's what the customer is already looking for anyway. And these words can be combined with the nutrition labels for added effect. And then you've got characters. So sometimes, especially in regards to children's products, there are many characters, themes that can be present on the packaging to help sell the product. So famous brand characters like those on the cereal products, those create more solid and reliable image, which then encourages shoppers to buy those products. I mean, I know Blippi's a huge one right now with kids, Bluey, I mean, it's everywhere and the kids want them and you're going to buy them because your kid asks for it. So there you go. Packaging, finally, the packaging itself can play a significant role in the way that the product is marketed. So studies show that details such as transparent packaging can help make the product more desirable. So sometimes if the packaging takes on a more unique form than is normally typical, customers are more encouraged to purchase it. So just some interesting marketing tactics there. So now let's go through some grocery list staples that are super good to keep on hand for quick and nutritious meals. So you've got your vegetables, frozen options, fresh vegetables, onions, broccoli, celery, carrots. I'm not going to name all of these, but this is a great list to have. And remember, don't be scared to buy those frozen vegetables. They're still healthy and they're a great option when you're on the go and need to cook something fast. Just be mindful of the frozen vegetables that have added sauces in there. Try to get ones without any of that. Frozen, fresh, and dried fruits are great to have. Again, just be mindful of added juices, stuff like that in frozen fruits, but still a great option. Kind of pricey, but also try to go for leaner beef and pork options. So with ground beef, try to shoot for 90% lean if possible. For poultry, try to opt for the skinless option when it's available. I always go for the breast because it's just the leanest option and I like it the best. When you're getting frozen options, try and grab the non-breaded chicken. That's always going to be better than the breaded option. And then lean ground turkey or chicken is always a great option to replace ground beef. So I make a lot of meatballs as just like a weekly dinner rotation. So we do ground chicken meatballs instead of ground beef meatballs. And I just did a cooking demo doing some Asian meatballs. So check that out if you're interested in a meatball recipe. But other great protein staples are eggs and fish. With fish, you can easily grab the frozen option. And normally they're individually wrapped, which is great for thawing them out. So, in the morning, throw however many you need out on the counter, and then they'll be thawed when you're ready to cook them. So you can also opt for a plant protein such as tofu, beans, which can be dried or canned. And just remember, look for those low sodium canned options. Lentils, nuts, seeds, and nut butters are very good as well. For all of these plant proteins, try and get the unsalted and no added sugar option. So again, just be searching and looking at those cans before you grab them and go. So let's talk about dairy staples. If you do consume milk and cheese products, try to get a low-fat or a non-fat milk or unsweetened plant-based milk like almond or coconut. And you want to go for natural cheeses like Parmesan, low-fat ricotta, mozzarella. Yogurts are also a great thing to grab. Greek yogurt especially has way more protein, so that's a good option. Now, if you don't consume milk or cheese, you want to look for fortified calcium. So vitamin D products such as orange juice, plant-based yogurts, and cold cereals. You can also look for other sources of calcium like kale, collard greens. Those all contain a good amount of calcium. On to whole grain staples. So oatmeal is a great breakfast item to grab. For rice, you could grab wild rice, brown rice, jasmine rice. Quinoa is a great grain to switch it up from rice if you're getting a little bit tired of the rice option. Farro is an amazing grain that is getting more and more popular. I actually linked a cooking demo that Shannon did from last year, where she cooks a chicken farro bowl with 3 ingredients. So you can check that out if you're interested. Also, throughout Q2, which is now, this month, our cooking demos are going to focus on meals that have whole grains as the main ingredient. So if you need more inspiration with your carbs, be on the lookout for our upcoming cooking demos. I know this month is going to focus on an oatmeal, a baked oatmeal, I believe, that Shannon's doing. So check that out. And then barley and whole wheat couscous are also some great options. A good goal and a good rule of thumb is to try to make half of your grains whole grains. So just note that. Now we've got pasta, legumes, and beans. So popcorn is actually a great snack to have on hand as long as it's plain. I know there's tons of brands out there that have really good air popped popcorn. I know Skinny Pop is one of them. There's so many brands. So if you have a favorite, pop it in the chat. But that's a great one that's going to fill you up too, which keeps you fuller for longer. So when getting beans, just remember to grab the low sodium and the no salt added cans. I'm going to say it again. Try and get the whole grain pasta or the chickpea pasta. There's a lot of good chickpea pasta brands. I think Bonanza is one of them. For blanking on the name, but something like that. And then whole grain or whole wheat crackers. And then for bread and tortillas, again, try to grab the whole wheat or the whole grain as well. And corn tortillas are also a great option for making fish tacos or something similar. All right, now for cooking fats, here are some great options. You've got extra virgin olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, avocado oil, and then your non-stick cooking spray. And when you're baking, you can always try to grab unsalted butter. I normally just grab non-stick cooking spray. It's the easiest, it's the quickest, and I use that for most of my cooking. But if I'm trying to be a little bit fancier, I might use extra virgin olive oil, but mostly I'm just sticking to that non-stick cooking spray. So now for our seasonings, all of these are staples that you can use for proteins, vegetables, and grains to just add some flavor, because remember, we do not want a bland diet. But if your diet requires minimal salt, just beware that some of those seasonings are heavy on the sodium. I mentioned last week that Miss Dash is a good brand, but there's tons of brands out there right now that are low in sodium. So be on the lookout for those. All right, here are some other pantry staples. You've got salsa, pesto, olives, low sodium broths. That's a good one to have on hand. Beware of marinara sauce because there can actually be a lot of hidden sugar. So definitely read the ingredient list, which we're going to talk about in our upcoming slides. If you choose to grab something like applesauce, try to go for the unsweetened applesauce. Just making small changes like that can make a huge difference. So, time to decode the food label. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, think of the nutrition facts panel as one or more tools for you in your toolbox. So in 2016, the US Food and Drug Administration overhauled the look and the information presented on the nutrition facts panel. So the panel now has a more clean and refreshed look with a bigger font, which is nice. Updated serving sizes and many more updates that we're not going to get into today, but one of the biggest updates includes its alignment with the 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines. You'll see the bold type on the serving size. The calories are going to be the largest number on the label. And like I mentioned, the values are all updated to reflect the most recent dietary guidelines. A new item on the label is the added sugars, which can actually be very helpful as well. So there's a lot of information that can be found on those nutrition facts panels. So we're going to break it down. You're going to want to start at the serving size. So ask yourself, how much of this product am I actually going to eat? And be realistic, okay? Look at the serving size and the calories per serving. All of the information on the panel is based on the serving size. So in this example, the serving size is 1 cup. So next you're going to look at the calories. If you had 2 servings, then you would need to double everything you see listed in the panel. So double the calories, double the fat, etc. Your next stop is going to be nutrients. So the total fat section. In this section, you're going to want to go heart healthy if possible. So opt for foods that are low in saturated fat, 4 grams or less per serving, and 0 trans fats. Try to select foods with the lowest possible sodium for heart health. Now, saturated fats are those fats that can increase your risk for cardiovascular disease and all of those fun things. So selecting foods that include poly and mono unsaturated fats like olive oil, canola oil, safflower oil, there's a ton of others. Those are going to be your better options. You may find that some food labels will list a gram amount of poly and mono unsaturated fats right underneath the saturated fats. If you come across a food package with this additional information, try to select the food that has more grams of poly and mono unsaturated fats per serving than those saturated and trans fats, okay? An example of a package where you might see that information is like a snack or a protein bar. The next stop is total carbohydrates. So this section houses information on fitting in fiber and limiting added sugar. So fiber and sugar are subgroups of those total carbohydrates. So select foods that have 4 grams or more of fiber. If you look closely, you'll see that total sugar, 12 grams, and is underneath, there's a statement underneath it that says includes 10 grams of added sugar. So what the total sugar and added sugar is saying, that 2/3 cup of that product includes 12 grams of sugar, of which 10 grams is added sugar. So added sugars are those sugars that are added to a product during the manufacturing process and are the ones that you should try to limit to no more than like 10% of your daily calorie level. 4 grams or less of added sugar is a really good rule of thumb to aim for. The 12 grams of total sugar does include sugar that is naturally occurring, plus the 10 grams of added sugar. So the last stop of the nutrition facts panel is those vitamins and minerals. This is sometimes a really overlooked section, but it can really help you get in those nutrients. So maybe ask yourself, what nutrients are you hoping to get out of this food? Are you looking for vitamin D? Are you looking for calcium? And then go for nutrients that do contribute to your percent daily value. So lots of stuff on those panels, but really important to kind of fully understand them. so you can make better option or better decisions. In addition to the nutrition facts label, the ingredient list is also a very helpful tool. So the ingredient list shows each ingredient in a food by its common or usual name. Now, the ingredients are listed in descending order by weight. So the ingredient with the greatest contribution to the product is listed first, and then the ingredient contributing the least by weight is listed last. So that's a good thing to note. Check the ingredient list on foods before you buy them. Use the list to find out whether a food or a beverage contains ingredients that are sources of nutrients you want to get more of, such as those whole grains, and sources of nutrients that you want to get less of, such as those added sugars and those partially hydrogenated oils or trans fats, like I talked about earlier. All right, use the daily value as a quick and easy guide. So aim for low daily value of saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, sodium, and added sugar. And then try to aim for good source or a high amount of dietary fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. Now, please remember, this is general guidance. So if you have a question or concern regarding a medical condition that specifies limiting certain vitamins or minerals, please contact your doctor, contact your physician, and go based off of what they say. Again, this is just general advice. Some of the statements you're going to see are defined by the FDA. So you can see the definitions here for fat-free, low-fat, reduced fat, low sodium, reduced sodium, and then light in terms of fat and calories. And remember those marketing tactics. You'll see a lot of this language on those packages. So now it's important to read those labels carefully because there might be some claims that are not FDA defined. A certified organic seal or logo on a product means that the product must meet the strict certification requirements set out by the USDA National Organic Program, or the NOP. Now, the three main guiding principles for certification are that the product cannot be produced using the big three methods, which is genetic engineering, ionizing radiation, and sewer sludge. The product must only use approved ingredients, and the product production must be overseen and inspected by a USDA approved certifying agency following all of the USDA organic regulations. So the regulations encompass many aspects such as soil quality, animal raising practice, pest and weed control, and then the use of additives. Organic certified meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products cannot come from animals that were given antibiotics, and certified organic plants cannot be grown using many of the widely used pesticides. So the NOP regulations do not address food safety or nutrition, so just keep that in mind. So there are 4 classifications in which a product on a store shelf can bear an organic certification seal or 100% certified organic. That can be used when the product is made using only organic ingredients, or if the certified organic product itself is a single ingredient product, okay? Organic can be used when the product is made up of at least 95% of organic ingredients. The product can have no more than a combined 5% of non-organic ingredients or approved ingredients. Now, the made with claim can be used when the product has at least 70% organic ingredients. And then the remaining non-organic ingredient must meet further criteria. So the product cannot use the USDA organic logo. Now, specific ingredients listing can be used if a specific organic ingredient is listed in the ingredient panel. So, for example, the ingredients are celery, salt, pepper, organic tomatoes. The product cannot use the USDA organic logo. So, please note, that the FDA has not defined the term 100% natural. So natural does not necessarily guarantee that what you're getting is healthy. This term is normally used for foods that do not have any added color or artificial flavors, which is great, but just note the FDA has not defined this term. When you're looking at a food product, calm your confusion by asking yourself these questions. What do you want to get out of eating the food product? Are you more concerned about any particular value over others? Maybe it's sodium, saturated fat, total calories, added sugars, iron. If you are, then incorporate the daily value to help you limit what you want to limit and increase the nutrients that you want to increase, okay? Do you need or want to avoid certain ingredients? Do you have allergies? Do you want to avoid processed foods? What animal welfare or sustainability or crop management concerns do you have? When you ask yourself these questions, you can assess what you want out of a product, and it'll kind of help you narrow your focus when you're reading those nutrition facts panels and the ingredient list, because again, it can be very overwhelming. So try to self-assess and prioritize what you're looking for, and it should help you when looking at those nutrition labels. So it's time for next steps. I want you to write down one small step that you're going to take to prepare for your next grocery shopping trip. And maybe it's downloading one of those apps that we talked about earlier. Maybe it's creating a list of foods that you already have. So go ahead, take a moment and decide what you're going to do. And I want you to answer this poll question for me because we're going to hold ourselves accountable. So my poll question is loading for you. Let me launch it here. Okay, what is one small step you will take to prepare for your next grocery trip? Download an app to help with a list. Try to avoid the aisles as much as possible. Read more nutrition labels. Stick to my list and avoid impulse purchases, or eat a healthy snack before you go. Again, all great options. So pick which one you're going to stick to this week. Stick to your list and avoid impulse purchases. It's the highest right now. It's funny. I know, it's hard. Those marketing tactics get you. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you for committing to this. That wraps up grocery shopping and nutrition labels. So next week, same time, same place, we're going to do Cooking 101, which is my favorite week because I love cooking and I love getting in the kitchen. So get excited about that. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to hop off of mute. I'll check out the chat. But if not, thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next week. Any